I used to work as a dishwasher at a 24-hour diner just outside Spokane. The place sat right off the highway, the kind of restaurant where the only regulars were truckers, drifters, and people who didn't want to be seen. It was depressing, greasy, and always cold no matter how high they turned the thermostat. But it paid, and as a broke 19-year-old, that was enough. The strangest part of the diner wasn't the food or the customers, it was Darla, the overnight waitress. Everyone who worked the morning and afternoon shifts talked about her like she was some kind of ghost. They said she had been working there for decades, that nobody remembered when she was hired, that she would never take a break, never eat, never even sit down. I didn't believe any of that until I started covering graveyard shifts. Darla was strange. She had that old-school 60s beehive hairstyle, a faded turquoise uniform that looked decades old, and a voice that never rose above a whisper. When she walked, she moved like she was sliding rather than stepping. And no matter how cold the diner was, she never wore a coat or even looked uncomfortable. But the most unsettling thing was that customers never seemed to look directly at her. They'd order, she'd refill their coffee, she'd set down their plates, but they always kept their eyes down. I thought it was just coincidence until one night, around 3:30 a.m., I saw something that still makes my skin crawl. A trucker came in, exhausted, half asleep. Darla approached his booth with her usual eerie slowness. He ordered coffee, bacon, eggs, normal enough. But when she walked away, I heard him muttering. Didn't know this place had theme nights. I asked what he meant. He said, the retro costume. The hair. The shoes. Look straight out of 65. Then he said something that froze my blood. Shame though, she's got those burns. You see her face? It looks melted. I had never noticed burns on Darla. Ever. I shrugged it off until I carried a stack of plates through the kitchen window and saw Darla standing under the heat lamp, staring at me. Not blinking. The light above her made her shadow stretch across the counter like a long smear of ink. Her skin did look strange. Shiny in places, stiff in others. Like wax left too close to a flame. Before I could say anything, the trucker shouted from across the diner. Hey! I didn't order toast. Darla glided to his table. And then, nothing. Silence. The trucker didn't say another word for over a minute. When I looked again, he was gone. His booth was empty. But the door hadn't opened, and no footsteps sounded. I asked Darla where he went. She just whispered. He left. Her eyes were white in the dim light, and for the first time I noticed something horrifying, she wasn't breathing. I told the manager about the disappearing customer later. He just sighed and rubbed his temples. Kid, sometimes people leave. But I knew that wasn't true. 2 nights later I worked alone with Darla again. Around 4 a.m., I found an old photo taped under one of the prep tables while searching for a dropped fork. It was a black and white picture of the diner staff from the early 1960s. There were 6 employees, all smiling proudly at the camera. Including Darla. Same hairstyle. Same uniform. Same face. Except her skin looked normal. I turned the photo over. Someone had written on the back. In loving memory of our beloved friend Darla. Died in the kitchen fire, July 14, 1966. I quit that morning. The diner is still open. And every so often, someone online mentions a strange waitress who never stops working, who glides instead of walks, who whispers instead of talks, who serves customers that never seem to leave the diner at all. In 2017, I worked at a small family diner in Oregon. We closed at midnight, and my job was to sweep, mop, and wipe down the counters before locking up. We had a decent crowd most nights, but things always got weird near closing time. The last customers were always either drunk, lonely, angry, or all three. That was when the camera guy started showing up. He first walked in around 11:40 p.m. tall, lanky, wearing a red beanie and an oversized tan jacket. His face was expressionless, completely blank, like he was wearing a mask of skin. He didn't sit. He didn't order. He just walked straight into the diner, turned toward the security camera above the register, and stared at it. I thought it was some prank. I told him, "Sir, you have to sit down to be served." He didn't blink. Didn't speak. Didn't move. Just stared into the camera like it was watching him back. After about a minute, he left without a word. 2 nights later, he came back. Same exact thing. Walked inside, stared into the camera, left. My manager reviewed the footage and said the guy gave him a weird feeling, but we had no reason to ban him. The 3rd time he came in, things got worse. He walked in at 11:55 p.m. The diner was closing in 5 minutes, and I was mopping near the front. The guy stepped inside, looked at the camera, and then slowly, very slowly, turned his head toward me. I froze. His facial expression didn't change. His eyes didn't blink. But the way he turned his head, it wasn't natural. It was like something rotating on a rusty hinge. He whispered, "You have 10 minutes." Then he walked out. I locked the door early and insisted my coworker walk me to my car. The next day, police came to the diner. They had found security footage of the same man breaking into a house 2 miles away around the same time he'd been coming to our diner. He had cut the power, broken in, and sat in the living room staring directly into the home's baby monitor camera until the family dog attacked him and chased him out. Police said he seemed obsessed with being watched. They warned us that if he ever came back, we should immediately call them. A week passed. Then another. Then at 12:03 a.m. one night, after we had closed and all the lights were off, we saw movement on the security feed. The man was inside the diner, standing on top of a booth, facing the camera, inches from the lens. But the doors were locked. No windows were broken. The alarm wasn't triggered. He leaned forward, lips pressed almost to the lens, and whispered, "You're late." Then he jumped down and disappeared from the camera's view. We hid in the office until police arrived. They searched every inch of the diner. He was gone. No sign of entry. No footprints. No fingerprints. The only new detail was written on the wall in grease pencil, directly under the camera. 10 minutes. I quit the next day. To this day, police never identified him. And every so often, when I'm walking alone after dark, I swear I hear someone behind me whispering numbers under their breath. Counting down. There's an old diner near the Montana border that locals whisper about. It looks normal on the outside, metal siding, neon sign, the smell of bacon grease in the air, but anyone who's worked there knows about Booth 7. I was a bussier there when I was 20. Nobody ever told me about Booth 7 when I was hired. But I should have known something was off the first week when I saw the staff avoid it like it was radioactive. They'd clean tables on either side, wipe down the walls, sweep the floor, but never touch Booth 7. Its vinyl seats were always dusty, cracked, and cold. No matter how warm the room was, that booth felt like an open freezer. One night, around 9 p.m., a man came in, middle-aged, wearing a suit that looked too big for him, his tie hanging loose around his neck. He asked for a quiet place to sit, and before I could stop him, he slid right into Booth 7. My manager's face turned pale when he saw him sitting there. He walked up to the man and politely asked if he could move to any other table. The man refused. "I like this one," he said. "Feels familiar." We served him anyway. Halfway through his meal, he began talking, quietly, rapidly, like he was afraid someone else was listening. He said things like, "She didn't want me to leave. The booth was warm that night. She said she would wait for me forever." At one point, he asked my manager, "Does she still sit across from me?" We had no idea what he meant. Then, around 9:40, he froze mid-sentence, stared at the empty seat in front of him, and whispered, "You're still here." He stood up, walked out the diner's side door, and vanished into the tree line behind the parking lot. We never saw him again. That night, my curiosity got the better of me. After closing, I approached booth 7 with a rag and cleaning spray. The air around it felt thick, like humidity, but colder. I wiped the table once. Just once. And my rag came away soaked with something reddish-brown. I froze. My manager sprinted over and ripped the rag from my hand, tossing it into the trash. "Don't clean this booth," he said. "You don't want to know why." I pushed back. I demanded he explain. And eventually, he did. 22 years earlier, a couple had come to the diner every Saturday, always sitting at booth 7. One night, the woman came in alone. She sat in the booth for 3 hours, waiting. The staff offered her food. She refused. When they tried to check on her again, she was gone. Just vanished. No one saw her leave. The seat was still warm. Her purse sat beside her. 2 days later, police found her body in the woods behind the diner. She'd been strangled. Her boyfriend was suspected, questioned, pursued, but never found. And every so often, people claim they see a woman sitting alone at booth 7, crying, waiting, staring at the door. The manager told me, "When we clean the booth, she comes back stronger." So we stopped cleaning it. I quit a month later, after I came in early one morning and found booth 7 freshly cleaned, spotless, glistening like someone had wiped it minutes earlier. And in the moist dew on the tabletop, a finger had traced 5 shaky words. "Did you find him yet?"